Hello everybody, it's Cynical Apex here once again with another video for y'all to consume. As the title suggests, this video is about the double-edged sword that comes with hero worship, or rather just worshipping people in general, and how it pertains to social media and the landscape that we find ourselves in. I figured it would be an interesting enough topic for me to actually discuss and give my insight on, as well as opening up a platform for anyone else who wishes to make a video on this topic or debate on it to do so, because as I said in my previous video, I really did like Nick Dioreo's suggestion of opening up debating on YouTube outside of the regular controversial cycle. So you can consider this debate topic, or as I like to call them, point/counterpoint topic numero uno, or number one, because I really am interested in hearing your thoughts on this topic. Anyway, let's actually get started with the discourse, shall we? First of all, in order to do a thorough and proper analysis, as well as being able to articulate our perspective to its optimum, we must first define the subject on which we are talking about, which, as you know by the introduction and by the title of this video, is hero worship. So, what is hero worship, you ask? Well, the definition of hero worship is actually quite simple. The definition is actually really simple. It is the excessive praise or admiration of a person. Now, that can be any person, whether they be just a regular Joe on the streets, or a famous movie star, or any celebrity. But for the purposes of this analysis and this video, we will strictly be looking at social media influencers and how having people hero worship them can actually act as a double-edged sword by means of highlighting their flaws and enabling other people who may not necessarily be fans of them, or even some that are just general fans of them, as well as other influencers, to jump in and say, hey, look, this guy fucked up. Maybe he's not what you thought he was. Or she, but I just used he for that reference sample. The overarching point remains the same no matter how you want to state it. Now, don't get me wrong. I get the inherent nature of people to want to look past those flaws and see people in the light on how they react to them personally, or how they have conveyed themselves through their videos. And that's perfectly valid. I'm not trying to invalidate that or say that you shouldn't feel that way at all. The point is that sometimes even those that people hero worship do need to be held to account if they make a mistake, just like everyone else. However, social media does amplify those mistakes and turns up the attention and the spotlight on them to 100, which may not always be fair, but that falls under the umbrella of the inherent nature of social media, no matter which platform you're on. Once you put yourself out there for the world, you are going to have people that are going to look at you through a magnifying glass and try to find a means in which to, quote-unquote, expose you, or your hero, if you are a fan, and magnify their mistakes whilst putting it out to their platform in order to try to get them to realize, hey, you probably shouldn't look at this guy in the light that you once did. They should not be your hero. Now, I know plenty of YouTubers say that they are not heroes, and I'm going to be another one that's going to say, no, I am not here to be a hero. I don't claim to be a hero or an angel. However, I do understand that sometimes people do need that sort of social media influencer or even a celebrity to sort of give them a pseudo hero effect due to them maybe not having the best family setup at home or even having a family at all in some cases. I know it sounds morbid, and that's because it is, but it's also true. You do have to look at it from that standpoint. Morbid, I know, but it's also true. Ideally, you would want the hero or the person that you're hero worshipping to come from within your own home. Whether that be your mother, your father, even grandparents, or even a sibling, although that is not always possible. People don't have that familial infrastructure in place, which leads them to turn to social media and hold influencers as sort of the hero in their lives, and therefore hero worship them. Which, as I said earlier, is completely valid and completely understandable. However, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't hold them accountable when they do make a mistake or when they do fuck up. Because at that point, it's simply known as blind loyalty and almost willingly having wool pulled over your eyes. Even if they are your hero, you don't want to get to that sort of point. In fact, it's even more important that you do hold influences that you are hero worshipping to a higher standard than you would the average person, because if you are, then it actually shows the influencer that they have people that are willing to pull them into account and help them through any situation that they might find themselves in. Just as I, or even you, would want to be pulled up and say, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing this. It's how we improve as people. And yes, even social media influencers are still working on themselves, still trying to get better as people each and every day of our life. And holding blind loyalty under the veil of hero worship doesn't actually benefit anyone at all. Because for you, people are going to pull you up and tell you that, hey, using this, well, X influencer did it, so I thought it was okay if someone pulls you up and says, hey, you probably shouldn't have done that, isn't the most wise excuse or rationale to actually have. From the influencer standpoint, if they are only seeing a circle jerk, sorry to use that term, but that's what it is, it's a circle jerk of fans telling them, hey, I love the video, even if their behavior wasn't necessarily the best. And yes, this is a moral line and different people have different sort of moralities. I get that 100%. But the thing is that doesn't necessarily apply here. We're talking about what is generally accepted as bad behavior. Then not being held to account means that they will very well continue that behavior and keep perpetuating the cycle of critique and the magnification of their errors. And yes, you can continue hero worshipping someone whilst also having a sense of accountability and almost feeling responsible to an extent, although you really shouldn't. Ensure that the influencer is a role model to others just as they were to you. For the influencer, it is a way for them to figure out, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this, and maybe I should conduct myself in a manner that is befitting of those that are seeing me as a role model or are hero worshipping me. Because at the end of the day, social media influencers, just like us as people, are trying to use this as a way or a means to detach themselves from the real world and the stresses and strains that are involved with partaking in day-to-day life. However, they just happen to have a greater audience out there willing to listen to them and willing to buy in to what they are producing content-wise. To some, that makes them a hero. That makes them worth worshipping, as they are able to consistently produce the content that we enjoy and that we consume, therefore validating the worship that they are giving them. Which isn't necessarily true due to the statement that I made earlier that most social media influencers don't want people to see them as heroes, but that's not going to stop people from actually doing so, due to the inherent nature of human psychology. That isn't to say that you shouldn't be a loyal fan or a loyal follower or a loyal subscriber, because loyalty is an admirable trait to have and is something that influencers do really acknowledge and they do really respect and desire. More so, it is about trying to temper that loyalty and making sure that you realize that hero worship, or rather blind loyalty, is a double-edged sword in terms of both yourself and the influencer that you feel that you might be benefiting by hero worshipping when you're actually not. And in fact, might be doing the inverse and harming them. Not in a physical sense, but in terms of a behavioral sense. As I said, if we're looking at this from an idealistic standpoint, you wouldn't be hero worshipping an influencer on social media. Rather, you would be hero worshipping someone within your household. However, that is not always possible, as I stated. These are just a little bit of notes on how best to manage hero worshipping and loyalty when it comes to social media influencers. Admire them, respect them, but at the same time also ensure that you are not allowing them to evade accountability. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Of course, I would love to know your thoughts on this topic, as well as any other topics that I post to this channel. But for now, I will bid you all adieu, and I will see you guys on the next video, which could be posted either Monday or Tuesday. Topic is to be decided. But anyway, bye for now, and this is Cynical Apex signing out.